All DNA changes gradually over time, and mitochondrial DNA changes or mutates at a reliable rate, allowing researchers to trace back how long it has been since two groups of people mixed. Revolutionary findings now show that some American Indians have mitochondrial DNA markers which are also only found in Europe, showing prior mixing with Europeans between 12,000 and 36,000 years ago. These astonishing research findings were initially reported in 1998 and originally published in the American Journal of Human Genetics during that year, by Dr. Michael Brown of Emory University, and colleagues. In the abstract of that article it was reported that estimates for the arrival of X in North America are 12,000 to 36,000 years ago, depending on the number of assumed founders, thus supporting the conclusion that the peoples harboring haplogroup X were among the original founders of Native American populations. To date, haplogroup X has not been unambiguously identified in Asia, raising the possibility that some Native American founders were of Caucasian ancestry. Further, regarding this research, in the article entitled, "The Solutrean Solution, Did Some Ancient Americans Come from Europe?" by Albert C. Goodyear and Alan L. Schneider, the authors wrote that Michael Brown and colleagues reported in 1998 that mitochondrial DNA haplogroup X is found in low frequencies in both European and Native American populations, but not among Asians. This indicated to them that some of the American founders may have come from Europe between 36,000 and 12,000 years ago. From the Discovery Channel documentary Ice Age Columbus, Who Were the First Americans? When interviewing Dr. Michael Brown, he reported that his research had found that the European DNA comprised a full quarter of some Native American populations. Additionally, he reported that we found this lineage in the Native Americans and we also found it in Europe. What this meant is that it was not the recent mixing between Indians and whites which has occurred since the time of Christopher Columbus and recent European arrival to the Americas in the 1500s. Rather, it showed that there was prior contact between 12,000 and 36,000 years ago. It is important to note that the Indians who carry these DNA markers have the greatest presence in the northeast part of North America, which is again consistent with Stone Age Europeans arriving from across the Atlantic and logically having the largest presence in that area. See here. Ancient European genetic markers have also been found in North and South American Indians using a different technique which examines protein patterns on white blood cells. These are referred to as human lymphocyte antigens, or HLAs for short. HLAs can be classified like blood types to understand genetic relationships between groups. In an extremely important and comprehensive review of the HLA research, author James Guthrie outlined ancient European and non-European markers in the Americas long before Columbus. The following should be highlighted. First, this research shows Caucasian HLA patterns in Indian tribes in eastern North America, with the markers arriving in antiquity. See here. Second, these European markers were also found in mummified remains from Paracas, Peru, an area famous for ancient red-headed and apparently Caucasoid mummies. See here. Third, this research also shows HLA markers from North Africa and India, possibly related to widely known Caucasian migrations and civilizations through these areas of the world, or showing an even more complex early migration of other peoples to the Americas. Again, the mainstream science suggests that American Indians migrated from Asia to the Americas 11,000 to 12,000 years ago, whereas Dr. Michael Brown's research indicates, in quotes, that some of the American founders may have come from Europe between 36,000 and 12,000 years ago. Although future research may find haplogroup X markers in Siberian populations at a later date, the pattern of both these mitochondrial DNA and HLA markers combine to show a very early presence of Europeans in the Americas. The picture that is emerging shows a much more complex migration of many peoples to the Americas predating the Indians. It is also consistent with the archaeological record, showing approximately 20 Caucasoid skulls in the Americas a few thousand years older than the oldest Asian skull.